Will Tennessee feature the best defense of the Josh Heupel era, but also the worst offense in 2025? That's what ESPN has to say. Let's hope it's not the latter, but I like the former a lot. That and so much more. It's your Monday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Cain. Happy to have you guys here with me today, getting your work week started with us, your work day started with us here on Locked On Vols, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day. I'm your host, Cain, also a member of the VolQuest.com team. Happy to bring you coverage of Tennessee athletics each and every single day. And today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at Monarch Money, where you can take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use that promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, a shout out to Monarch Money. Fun show coming up today. Interesting ESPN article. It's an SEC preview, essentially, and they ranked the biggest contenders for the SEC title and therefore a spot in the college football playoff. And of the six they listed, Tennessee broke through. Tennessee was number 6. So we'll kind of recap that and discuss what ESPN likes. Bill Conley, SP Plus, what they love about Tennessee. And an interesting quote. Again, the worst defense, or the best defense probably, might be the worst offense. We'll get into that here in segment number 1. Segments 2 and 3 with fall camp starting tomorrow with Media Day. Practice number 1 on Wednesday. I wanted to go through and give you 3 veterans that I'm watching closely on offense, and then 3 veterans that I'm watching closely on defense. Guys that have a lot to prove heading into the regular season. We looked at some freshmen last week as we're getting set for fall camp, and we'll have coverage for you every single day right here on Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys free and available. Don't forget your the mailbag edition of the show that's coming up tomorrow. So send in any questions you guys have on Tennessee football, Tennessee camp, all that and more at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. All right, so SEC preview over at ESPN.com, and there's a bunch of different parts to it. I'm going to focus primarily on the conference title and therefore CFP contender section. They list 6 teams. Number 1 is Alabama. Number 2 is Georgia. Number 3 is Texas. Number 4 is LSU. Number 5 is Ole Miss. And number 6 is Tennessee. And again, this is written by Bill Conley, who does all the SP Plus rankings. And Tennessee's always heavily well thought of in the SP Plus rankings every single year. It feels like even if Tennessee's not very good or coming off a down year or whatever the case may be, even going back to the Pruitt years, Tennessee's pretty heavily thought of in the SP Plus rankings per Bill Conley. But he likes Tennessee again this year. 2025 projection, 13th in the SP Plus rankings, 8.8 average wins. So almost 9 wins, 5 in the SEC. So that'd be a 5-3 record in the 8-game SEC slate. A lot of good things to say here about Tennessee. We'll start here from the top and kind of discuss as we go through. Quote, Tennessee had suffered 3 losing seasons in 4 years and somehow 8-13 before Josh Heupel took over. He's already enjoyed 2 top 10 finishes with no losing seasons. Better yet, his 2 top 10 teams were completely different from one another. Per the SP Plus rankings, the 2022 team was driven by the Vols' best offense since 1940. And last year was driven by their best defense since 1999. Again, we can be frustrated. We can be critical of the offense the last couple of years, and that's fair, right? I mean, that's completely fair. But I do think that it's very interesting, and it shows the maturity of a head coach. It shows the evolution of a head coach that you are winning in big ways in 2 completely different ways, like Bill Conley puts out in this paragraph right here. 2022, obviously the best offense in the country. Tennessee averaged 46 points per game. Tennessee averaged the most yards per game. I don't have it in front of me, but they led the nation in yards per game and all that and more, explosive plays, all that. And then last year in 2024, the defense was fantastic, certainly the best of the Josh Heupel era. And so again, that just goes to show me that Josh Heupel is maturing as a head coach, and I'm glad that he points it out right here. He goes on to say, the 2025 Vols will likely be a defensive first team. Defensive coordinator Tim Banks deploys a huge rotation, and at least 12 of 25 guys with 150-plus snaps return, including one of the SEC's best run-stopping defensive ends, Joshua Josephs, and one of the most active 300-pounders, Bryce Neeson. Bryce Neeson will tell you he's not 300 pounds. And the team's leading tackler, Arion Carter, and up to 4 starting defensive backs. He says, why up to 4 DBs? because the status of cornerback Jermon McCoy remains unknown after a January ACL tear. The Vols won't be at their best unless he's 100%. They rank 6th in lineup stability last year, but 2025 immediately got off to a poor start with McCoy's injury. That's true. But again, I still like the defensive backfield. That's why the addition of Colton Hood means so much. That's why the addition of Colton Hood can free up Jalen McMurray to maybe go play a little bit of star. We know that Boo Carter's status is up in the air right now. We know that Josh Heupel is going to be asked about Boo Carter, his very first question. In fact, he'll probably incorporate that into his opening statement on Tuesday when he meets with the media. He meets with us to kick off fall camp. But even if Boo Carter's status is up in the air, say Boo Carter is not with the team, or Boo Carter's getting a breather because he's playing some offense, or just had a long punt return, or kickoff return, whatever the case may be. Well, if he had a long return, that'd be on offense. But nonetheless, I'm saying maybe he's getting a breather. Jalen McMurray can go play the star position. Colton Hood can slide in at cornerback right now. And then once Jermon McCoy comes back, man, you just have that much more depth. So I really, really, really like the addition of Colton Hood from Colorado in the spring portal. He goes on to say, quote, "The offense was still solid in 2024, slipping only to 23rd offensively in the SP Plus rankings, but the big plays have definitely vanished through the years." He has this nice little chart here where he's got yards per explosive plays. He's got 0 or 9 all the way up to 15, and then he's got percentages of the time, 30 all the way up to 53%. He's got 4 quadrants, right? The top left is all or nothing, meaning it's boom or bust, big play or nothing, right? The bottom left is bad offensively, or bad in terms of explosive plays. The top right is, with the high percentages and the high yards, that's great in terms of explosive plays. And then the bottom right, which is high percentages, high yards, and where your point is just mostly nibbles. And that's where Tennessee ranks. This is the mostly nibbles category in terms of explosive plays. He goes on to say, opponents have slowly adjusted to Heupel's high-speed offense and seems basically to be giving the Vols the Patrick Mahomes treatment at this point, letting them have whatever they want close to the line of scrimmage and form a cloud in the back end to prevent huge gashes. Yeah, we saw that last year, right? That's why Tennessee ran for I don't have it in front of me, Tennessee ran for so many yards against NC State because NC State plays 3 high safeties. And not only did NC State play 3 high safeties, Arkansas played 3 high safeties, and some of these other teams played 3 high safeties. Everybody kind of watched tape and said, all right, we're going to give you whatever you want. We're not going to put guys, you can run it however much you want, but you are not getting it over our heads. And still, Tennessee found a way to get over the defensive backs' heads against Florida, against Alabama, just didn't convert on as many as they needed to. I mean, that 2-game stretch, Florida and Alabama, goodness gracious, there were so many yards and explosive plays for the taking, but Iamaleava and his receivers, and it was both their faults. There was Iamaleava put it on the money a couple of times, and the receivers dropped it, or Iamaleava just flat out overthrew countless guys in that 2-game stretch. So I thought that was really, really interesting as well. The Patrick Mahomes treatment, it's a 3 high safety look, and Tennessee saw the 3 high safety look a ton last year. Conley goes on to say, of last year's starters, only Chris Brazzell II, tight end Miles Kitselman, who was injured in spring, and left tackle Lance Hurd return. The Vols basically traded quarterback Nico Iamaleava and Joey Aguilar in the spring. Iamaleava was far more highly touted recruit, but Aguilar, who transferred from Appalachian State to UCLA last winter, is a far better scrambler and takes fewer sacks. And then in parentheses, he says he also throws more picks. Learning a third offense in less than a year isn't optimal. And if Aguilar isn't up to speed, redshirt freshman Jake Merklinger could take over. The Vols are probably fine at running back, where sophomores, it's redshirt sophomore Deshaun Bishop and true sophomore Peyton Lewis could replicate new Cleveland Brown Dylan Sampson's production, but sophomores Mike Matthews and redshirt freshman Braylon Staley both might start. They will, after combining for 10 catches last year, while second string is littered with freshmen and potentially Carter, who played on both sides of the ball in spring. That would be Boo Carter. It's a similar story up front, where the 2 deep will consist of Hurd, transfers Wendell Moe Jr., Amoy Jr., and Sam Pendleton, and an assembly line of redshirt freshmen and sophomores. It feels like the Vols could end up with their best defense and worst. Let me start that. Let me say that over. It feels like the Vols could end up with their best defense and worst offense yet in the Josh Heupel era. Hopefully that's not the case, right? Hopefully Tennessee is improved offensively, can hit a couple of the explosives. If it is Aguilar, he's not turning the football over. Tennessee continues to run the football, and you're better than 23rd in the SP Plus rankings offensively than you were a year ago. Again, for as bad as it was a year ago, and Dylan Sampson in the run game had a lot to do with it, it wasn't horrendous. but hopefully you're a little bit better offensively and from a balanced approach. Defensively, man, I'm with Bill Conley. I have been liking the Tennessee defense. I've been saying it's going to lead the team. I've been saying it's going to be a top 10 defense all offseason. I had that much faith in the Tennessee defense because they've got so many guys returning up front. I'm a believer in Joshua Josephs. Got to find somebody to sack the quarterback. Hopefully that's him, but overall his game is really, really good. I love the linebackers. I'm high on the linebacker room, and I think the secondary, despite the uncertainty right now of Boo Carter, and even with McCoy coming off an injury, I still like the defensive backfield. I do. And there's 3 reasons to tell me why I shouldn't be so high on the defensive backfield right now. It's the uncertainty of Boo Carter, and hopefully there'll be some clarity in the next 24 to 48 hours, okay? Jamal McCoy coming off injury, and, of course, safety. There's not a whole lot at the safety position in terms of returning production, but I still like the cornerbacks so much in the secondary that I think Tennessee is going to be pretty good. So, anyway, a lot of good stuff here from Bill Conley. He has Tennessee listed number 6 of 6 teams that are true SEC and college football playoff contenders in the SEC. That's Alabama, that is Georgia, that is Texas, that is LSU, that is Ole Miss, and that is Tennessee. He's got another section here that says a couple of breaks away from a run. He lists Texas A&M in that category, South Carolina in that category, Missouri in that category, Florida in that category, Auburn in that category, and Oklahoma in that category. And then just looking for a path to 6-6, he has Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State in that category. And again, guys, should I remind you that of that quadrant there that Bill Conley just pointed out, just hoping for a path to 6-6, 4 teams listed, all 4 are on Tennessee's schedule in 2025. So, schedule lines up, defense is there, run the football, don't turn the football over at the quarterback position, and you should have a recipe for 9 wins easily. Can you get a signature win over one of the big 3? Can you secure that win against Oklahoma at home in November? That's the biggest questions I have for Tennessee this year. But Bill Conley, again, continues to be high on Tennessee, continues to believe Tennessee could be a contender this year, despite maybe, hopefully not, but maybe the worst offense of the Josh Heupel era. All right, that is going to do it here for this segment here of Locked On Vols. When we come back, let's take a look at 3 veterans on the offensive side of the football that is worth watching in fall camp. They got a lot to prove. That's coming up next right here on your Monday morning Locked On Vols. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to just managing your money, you're also building wealth. What I love about Monarch Money is everything comes in and I can see everything right in front of me. I mean, I have mortgage out of this account. I get paid from Locked On in this account, from Hubs in this account. I've got all this different stuff. I've got subscriptions coming out of this account, but with Monarch, it's all in one place. So I know exactly how much money I have and how much more money that I need, right? It helps me, and I believe it can help you as well. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. Promo code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Check it all out today at Monarch Money. Fall camp is starting tomorrow with Media Day. First practice is officially on Wednesday. And last week we took a look at 9 true freshmen to watch in fall camp. True freshmen that I think could play a big role in Tennessee football season here in 2025. Let's go specifically look at the veterans. And I qualify veterans as pretty much anybody that's not a true freshman. I qualify veterans as guys who have gone through multiple camps and maybe one season. So I'm going to have a couple of redshirt freshmen listed in these veterans. But that's what I consider to be a veteran. That's what I consider to be, a veteran in this offense. So, nonetheless, let's look at offensive side of the football and 3 veterans that absolutely need to step up this fall camp for Tennessee. And the first one is one of those redshirt freshmen. It's William Satterwhite. Tennessee has been looking for a center to replace Cooper Mays for years. Tennessee's been looking for a true backup center to where if Cooper Mays were to get hurt, they didn't have to slide down a guard or change a tackle or whatever. Tennessee never found that, right? But now Cooper Mays is gone. I mean, they've got to find somebody else to snap the football. And so many times you're thinking oh, that's not a big storyline. That's not a big storyline. But the fact that nobody else has played center for Josh Heupel in 4 years, when that center leaves, It is a big deal. And the center sets the tempo of the offense, and the center makes all the checks up front, sets the protection up front. I mean, it's more than just a guy that snaps the football and gets in front of a defensive lineman to protect his quarterback, right? I mean, there's so much more nuances at the center position than we even realize. William Satterwhite was kind of the center number one in spring ball. He had a really good start to fall camp. I don't think he finished spring ball the way that he wanted to, and so I think he's going to be super motivated to get out there and get off to another good start. Again, William Satterwhite, it's his job for the taking, in my opinion. He's certainly not locked it up, but he is the leader in the clubhouse. He is sitting in the pole position. Can William Satterwhite lock up a starting position at the center position? We will have to see. If not, if he struggles, then maybe it makes sense that Tennessee's best five on the offensive line is with Sam Pendleton at center, the transfer portal addition from Notre Dame, who's going to be a starter either at center or guard. Would it make more sense for Tennessee to be stronger and better to get the best five out there with Sam Pendleton at center and then maybe a Shane Umarov at guard or a Jesse Perry at guard or a Max Anderson at guard? I don't know. We'll see. It's very, very interesting. Would it make more sense for Max Anderson to be the starting center? I don't know. William Satterwhite, again, sitting in the pole position, but they have got to figure it out. He has got to lock that down. The center position is one of the biggest position battles in all fall camp, and William Satterwhite is someone to watch in that regard. Number two, on the offensive side of the football, worth watching, a veteran, and that is Chris Brazzell. He is easily the most experienced returner at the wide receiver position, a position that has only 7 scholarship players, okay? A position that has, of your starting wide receivers, projected starting wide receivers, 2 of them have combined for 10 receptions as true freshmen last year, that being Braylon Staley and Mike Matthews. Braylon Staley had Chris Brazzell had 29 receptions for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns are really nice from the slot. It was schemed up by Heupel from the slot in the back of the end zone to beat Alabama. But overall, outside of a couple of big catches in that first half against Vanderbilt when Tennessee was down 14-0 from the get-go, a couple big third down snags there in the first quarter to keep drives alive for Tennessee, Chris Brazzell was very inconsistent. He was one of the biggest transfer portal additions last year, along with Lance Hurd, along with Jerron McCoy. He was not as consistent. He was kind of, I guess you could say, kind of a letdown in year number 1 in the system. But look at what Dante Thornton did in year number 2 in the Josh Heupel system. Look at what Jalen Hyatt did in year number 2 of the Josh Heupel system. Look at what, you can even throw Ramel Keaton in there. Congratulations to Ramel Keaton, by the way, getting picked up by the Titans. Treylon Burks, another injury. So Tennessee reportedly, via Adam Schefter, picking up former Tennessee Volunteer wide receiver Ramel Keaton and LA Raiders, or Oakland, or Vegas Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Ramel Keaton. So that's awesome. But even look at Ramel Keaton in year number 2 in the system. So can Chris Brazzell take that step? Here's to hoping, because he needs to absolutely, I mean, Mike Matthews needs to be the alpha in the room, but I think Chris Brazzell needs to be a solid number 2 option, So that is somebody that I'm watching on the offensive side of the football for sure. Number 3 is Lance Hurd. And Lance Hurd's interesting because last year in July, he had a procedure on his knee. So he was limited in fall camp. He was not in shape. He was banged up to begin the year, even missed a game. I think that was the Oklahoma game that he missed, and that was sandwiched around one of the open dates. Once he got back, he was not in shape, and so it took Lance Hurd forever just to find his footing, right? And then once he did, I thought he played some pretty good football there towards the end of the season, but it was very much a work in progress, and it was never a finished product. This time around, Lance Hurd is down 30 pounds. He's in shape. He's healthy. And he needs to live up to that former 5-star name. He needs to live up to the number 1 or the highest-rated signee for LSU in the class of 2023. That's who Tennessee needs this season, for sure. He's invested in himself. He's trimmed some weight. Okay? He's in shape. He's healthy. And I think that is a very great combination for Lance Hurd, because I think that if he starts the season that way and plays the season that way, that's a really, really, really good thing for Tennessee, because you're going to have a dynamic 5-star talent, potentially at both tackles, but depending on where David Sanders is and his projection at that point in time. So Lance Hurd is absolutely somebody worth watching at left tackle for Tennessee. So there are others, don't get me wrong, there are many, many others in terms of veterans that need to be watched out for, you need to be watching for in fall camp, but these 3 specifically, man, if they enter the season feeling some confidence, feeling good about themselves, I think that can really, really help the offense go for the University of Tennessee. So that is 3 veterans to check out on the offensive side of the football in fall camp. What about defense? Who are some veterans on the defensive side of the football that Tennessee needs to be looking out for during fall camp? That is coming up next right here on your Monday Locked On Vols. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, and only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of tickets shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting to a concert, getting those tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices, they actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% with killer last minute deals. So it's talking about shows and music and everything, but obviously this is a sports podcast. You can buy tickets to sporting events in your area on the Gametime app as well. We're talking Tennessee football this fall, Tennessee men's and women's basketball at the Food City Center, Thompson Bowling Arena this winter and spring, Tennessee baseball coming up in the spring at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Finally, the renovations will be done at Lindsey Nelson Stadium, so you can buy tickets to those events, concerts, music, comedy shows, sports, Tennessee Smokies in your area, and maybe even save up to 60% off of killer last minute deals the closer you get to the event time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Shop with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, put in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create that account, put in the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Rinse, repeat, flip to the other side of the football. We did offense in segment number 1. Segment number 2, we're going to do defense here to conclude a Monday show. 3 veterans on the defensive side of the football that I think are very, very important for Tennessee to get off to the way they want to in the season. Right? They need these guys to be feeling some confidence, to be healthy, to be playing well in fall camp in order to get Tennessee's defense out on the right foot in 2025, which I think again is going to be a very, very good season. Now, one of the reasons why I should have some pause or maybe shouldn't be as high on the secondary for Tennessee, and I mentioned in segment number 1, is the uncertainty at the safety position. Tennessee went from a 4-man rotation in 2024 after playing the same 2 guys for 3 or 4 years, a combination of 2 guys for 3 or 4 years, prior to that. Tennessee went to a rotation at safety last year, and it was a great move. It was Andre Turrentine. It was Will Brooks. Will Brooks ended up being the best safety on the team. He was really, really good. The walk-on, that was great to see. Love that. Christian Charles is in that rotation. Jacoby Thomas. Christian Charles transfers. Jacoby Thomas transfers. Will Brooks has exhausted his eligibility. So now that 4-man rotation's down to 1, and that's Andre Turrentine. Now, he does come back. He's played a ton of snaps. He got his toes wet a little bit as a starter at the end of 2023. Last year, he played a career-high 545 snaps on defense. This will be his 4th year in the system for Tennessee after playing his freshman year at Ohio State, redshirting there. Andre Turrentine is experienced, but he's got a lot to prove, okay? He only graded out, and take the grades for what it's worth, okay? But I did just want to point this out. At Pro Football Focus, he graded out at 58.3% last year. It's not very good. Now, this is why I love to use Pro Football Focus, right? He missed a team-high 12 tackles. He allowed a team-high 18.7 yards per reception while in primary coverage. Opponents were 11 of 21 in passes against the safety in primary coverage. It's not horrible, but the 18.7 yards per reception is not good, right? 11 of 21 is not bad, but the 18.7% is not good. Now, granted, a lot of that's over the top in the center of the field. I recognize all that, but he's got ways to improve. He needs to be more consistent. He's experienced, and you look at the safety position, Idris Farouk, sophomore, Kaleb Beasley, sophomore, a lot of inexperience there. Andre Turrentine is going to be the leader of that group. He's got to be more consistent. I think Andre Turrentine is somebody for sure to watch on the defense side of the football. Speaking of Kaleb Beasley, he comes in at number 2 right here. He was buried at cornerback last year, so made the move in spring to safety, and now he's going to have an opportunity. And the coaching staff saw a much more comfortable, relaxed kind of guy playing well within his own skin, and that's Kaleb Beasley in spring. They liked the way they saw Kaleb Beasley in spring for sure. Last year, he logged only 62 snaps. It was mop-up duty at a different position. Now, Kaleb Beasley also, depending on the availability and status of Boo Carter, could get some looks at the star position as well. So I don't like that necessarily because you only have 3 guys in that safety rotation right now, 2 very inexperienced. So I don't want to take one of those and have him play at the star position as well. Jordan Thomas is going to redshirt this year, medical redshirt, so he's not in the fold. But Kaleb Beasley also could get a look at the star position depending on what's going on. So I think he's very critical. I think that the in-state former 4-star prospect is going to play a big role for Tennessee on defense this year. It's kind of like Christian Harrison last year, right? It was kind of like never really played at all, and then boom, was thrown into a prominent role. And I think that's what Kaleb Beasley is going to be like this year for sure. So I think Kaleb Beasley is somebody to really, really be on the lookout for this year in the secondary as a veteran, albeit only a second-year player, but as a veteran that you need to be watching in fall camp. The last player that I want to highlight here, we've done 3 on offense, we've done 2 on defense so far, and now here's the third one on defense. Again, second-year player, Jordan Ross. The Leo pecking order is going to be Joshua Josephs at 1, Caleb Herring at 2, and then it needs to be Jordan Ross at 3. And Jordan Ross got to come a long way. In spring ball, both Coach Chop, Rodney Gardner, they both said, hey, kind of like James Pierce, like he's got to prove that he's got the little things every single day in practice, got to practice like a pro and all that and more. I mean, they kind of challenged him in spring in a big way. But he's had a good offseason for the most part, good in the strength and conditioning programs and all that, and he's going to be tasked with playing a lot of snaps. You might be thinking, oh, he's a third stringer. That doesn't mean he's going to play a big role. Yeah, in Tennessee's scheme, Tennessee plays 12 to 14 guys, and the Leo specifically in pass rushing situations and or certain packages like rabbits, which means rabbits get after the quarterback. They are going to be multiple Leos on the field at the same time. So it could be a combination of Joshua Josephs, Caleb Herring, Joshua Josephs, Jordan Ross, Caleb Herring, Jordan Ross, whatever. They are going to get a lot of snaps. It's like Caleb Herring was the third Leo last year. It was like, who was it? James Pierce, Joshua Josephs, and somebody else in 2023. Byron Young. Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of like that. Or Byron Young was 2022. Nonetheless, there are multiple Leos that play on the field at the same time. Jordan Ross, a former 5-star prospect. Jordan Ross, a former top 30 prospect in the 2024 signing class for Tennessee. Would love to see his role grow and his athleticism put on to display. Tennessee, meanwhile, too, like they've been so great behind line of scrimmage, right? Playing behind line of scrimmage. In 3 of 4 years under this system, Tennessee has surpassed 100 TFLs. The 1 year that it did not have at least 100 TFLs was in 2023, whatever year it was, and they had 93, okay? But sacks, Tennessee only had 29 sacks last season. They had 11 fewer in 2023. They had 34 in 2021 and 31 in 2022. Tennessee's not sacked the quarterback at the highest clip that it needs to. That needs to change this year, and I think Jordan Ross's skill set, what he can bring to the defense, can really help aid that and get some more sack numbers. Again, 2021, 34 sacks. 2022, 31 sacks. 2023, 41 sacks. 2024, 29 sacks. 29 sacks, the lowest of the Josh Heupel era on the Tennessee defense, albeit they had over 100 TFL. So play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Find a way to get to the quarterback, though, and bring the quarterback down. Don't just affect the quarterback. Don't just hit the quarterback, knock down the quarterback. Bring the quarterback down, set up 3rd and long, and get after. And I think Jordan Ross can really help in that regard. So 3 veterans I am looking for on the defensive side of the football for Tennessee this fall camp. They can play well in fall camp, have some good vibes, good momentum, right? A lot of confidence heading into the regular season, who I think can make a difference for Tennessee's defense. That is safety Andre Turrentine, that is safety Kaleb Beasley, and that is Leo Jordan Ross. All right, that will do it for this edition of Locked On Vols. Can't thank you enough for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single morning. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget tomorrow's mailbag edition of the show. Please send me in any questions you guys have at @Cain or at Locked On Vols. Comment on the YouTube channel for this episode. Fall camp starting. Questions about Joey Aguilar, the Tennessee offense, Tennessee defense, Boo Carter, any of those that we can get answers to, right? And we should have some clarity on the Boo Carter situation at the latest when Josh Heupel takes the podium tomorrow. Media day tomorrow. Practice number 1 of fall camp is on Wednesday. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to tell you everything that I see right here on Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys as always. Let's have a week, shall we? This is Locked On Vols.